good morning all. How are you? How are you all today? As you can see in wonderful Yorkshire today, it ain't half cold here in the north. But as always, we shall persevere. We shall strive on and keep ourselves warm. Like I say, I'm fully wrapped up. I've got me Wellington boots on again for the first time in quite a while. I say it has been getting very muddy as of recently. Now on have gone the old wellies. Of course, last week when I wore them, I forgot to wear my socks. Well, my thick pair of socks, so I rubbed one of my ankles a bit raw, but it's fine now. Oh, good morning everybody from Lubin. Good morning to the Lubin people. Good morning to you. I think it's in Germany. Is it Germany? If it is, Guten Morgen. Just showing off my German skills. I've always thought I could learn, honestly. If I could ever have like a German teacher who just taught me like how to speak and how to like listen to German, I think I could probably learn German. Yeah, I always said when I was, it's in Poland, so like I say, I'm not that familiar with Poland, but anyway, good morning to you then from Poland. But yes, good morning, wherever you are joining us from. Oh, the Belgians are joining us as well. Good morning to you. Like I say, it's as you can see from our wonderful little hideaway, it's quite cold. Good morning from Bonn in Germany. Good morning to you. Good morning, BHM. Been a while. Good morning to you. Hi from Moth. Guess I'm gonna have problems saying sound to that now. Mothamoid, Mythamoid in Yorks. You have a bit of thick fog this morning. Well, I think we've managed to maybe avoid that. Although I don't know, maybe I've come out and avoided it. It does feel like cold enough to have been foggy this morning. Mythenroid. All right, okay. It's always the case when you see a place name, you're not sure. Morning. Oh. Little beagle. Can you see if there he is. Morning. You're actually kind of on time for once. Well, welcome to the winter series of the Good Morning Walk, where it's whatever time I decide to get up during the winter. Yes, indeed, winter is indeed coming. Oh. Well, some of you may have heard the unfortunate news yesterday. Of course, like I say, we had a very unfortunate incident yesterday of one of our MPs essentially being murdered yesterday. Well, like I say, as you know, I'm not allowed to be, shall we say, too political anymore, but, you know, it doesn't stop me commenting on the fact that, you know, this event happened. It pretty much dominated the news cycle yesterday from pretty much about 12 o'clock from when it happened. So, like I say, most of you in the UK will, of course, know about this. Police are treating it like a act of terrorism. We've heard just this morning that counter-terrorism is getting involved in it. So, and you know, regardless of, you know, who this happened to, this is of course a case of, you know, it just shouldn't happen. And I do agree with Joe Cox's husband saying that, you know, an attack like this is an attack on us all. So, you know, my sympathies and thoughts do go out to, of course, the family and friends of the MP who died yesterday. It is very, very sad, but I felt that, you know, it would be weird for me not to mention it. But yeah, very sad indeed. But I think this is going to be lessons learned, maybe, because obviously nothing happened after Joe Cox's murder back in 2016. And of course, last time that, even obviously before that, it had been like 25 years since, you know, an attempt had been made on, you know, an MP. So it was very treated as like a, you know, maybe once in a blue moon thing. But now that it's happened again, and indeed only 4 years after Joe Cox's death, then maybe they'll finally do something about it. But there was again lots of discussions about how, you know, MPs have to be aware of their safety, but they also don't want to lose their connection between their constituents, which is fine, it's understandable. But of course, there must be some sort of level of sort of safety involved to help protect MPs. So that's my very sort of neutral stance point on it, which I think to be honest, we can all, I think, generally agree with, to be honest. But anyway, on to what I think far, far, far more happier news, because I want to talk about this, because someone mentioned it yesterday or last week about having a talk about like a Star Trek stream. And then the more I thought about it, the more I didn't want to talk about Star Trek. I far, far more wanted to talk about the Orville. And before we get into what the Orville is, if you've never seen it before, highly recommend it. If you've got Disney Plus, I think both seasons are on there. I think they used to be on Amazon. Don't know if they still are, but they're there. Oh, Mitch, good morning all. Like I say, good morning if you're just joining us. So, I very much grew up probably in the era where, in the 90s, where BBC 2 was like the home of Star Trek, especially here in the UK. So you used to get 6 o'clock BBC 2, you know, it was Simpsons time. And I always used to remember 6 o'clock on the dot, bang, Simpsons time. And then, after the Simpsons, you used to get TNG, or Star Trek The Next Generation. Except, I believe, on Wednesdays, where it was DS9. And then, when Voyager started, Voyager ended up pretty much taking over that time slot eventually from TNG. But when Voyager first started, you used to get the new episodes of Voyager on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. I can't remember now exactly now. But oh no, Friday was Malcolm in the Middle. That was it, yeah. And that was the big, you know, event during the week. You know, that's what we used to go and watch. And I was always very much a big Star Trek fan. I think it was mainly sort of the influence of my stepdad, who used to watch it, and then I just started watching it as well. My two stepbrothers, they were very big into Star Trek as well. So we really used to sort of, you know, gather around the TV and sort of get to watch it. And again, for me, sort of growing up, especially in the 90s, you know, I loved that bit of Star Trekness. And then, of course, I think it was the BBC lost the rights. If you remember, they lost. Not only did they lose The Simpsons to Channel 4, which the Channel 4 still has, they also very much lost Star Trek as well. They got Enterprise, and indeed after they lost sort of the rights to Star Trek itself, then they could no longer show any of the rest of the Star Trek series. And well, Channel 4 was never ever interested in showing that off. Oh, hello from Malaysia. Hello to you. So yeah, the big and like I say, I never watched Enterprise because I never followed it to Channel 4. For those of I think of the more, shall we say, die-hard Star Trek fans will know just how bad Enterprise went into the canon. And this is someone who saw when it was on Channel 4, and I did become aware of it, I would dip in now and again to try and catch an episode of Enterprise. But again, I think we were sort of spoiled here in the UK, because in America, I don't know how you watch TV in America. Like, you have so many adverts. So many adverts during your programming. It's unbelievable. Because we used to get, like, on the BBC, of course, the BBC's, state funded, so we'd have, there'd be no adverts. So we'd pretty much get the full episode of Star Trek, no interruptions, no adverts, nothing. And then, especially Channel 4, who is a lot more commercialized, very much started showing and playing to like the adverts as much as possible. And it was literally like, to me, it's like 20 minutes of TV program and then 5 minutes of adverts. It pulls me out of, it pulled me out of the watching experience. And I think that's why I'm really into watching stuff on, stuff online. And I've got a Netflix account. I've got Disney Plus at the moment as well. And to be honest, I'm enjoying them. Yeah, Mitch, I agree. Yeah, I'm genuinely trying to think what was the last thing I actually watched on TV. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for me to think when that was. I think it may have even been probably the 2000s, maybe 2007 to maybe 2006, and I can't even remember what I watched at the time. But yeah, but that is indeed the way things are going. But it probably won't be long before soon some of these streaming services maybe try to introduce adverts, although I know Netflix has talked about doing that in the past, and they've shied away from it massively. In fact, in the future, we may do a Good Morning Walk where we talk about streaming services, because I've said before I work in marketing, and I have quite a lot to say about streaming services and how they operate, the differences between the two platforms. They sort of really fascinate me. So maybe in the future, I'll give sort of a very sort of marketeer look at the whole streaming wars and how it's playing out, because it is very fascinating thing to actually look at. But anyway, back to Star Trek. And yes, Sisko is indeed the best captain. We'll get into that in a bit. So, one of the big, one of the big things for me is after that period, I watched some of the TNG films. I remember Genesis, I remember First Contact, and the less we talk about Nemesis, the better, I think. But it wasn't really until very, very, very recently, I'm saying very recently, did I get back into sort of watching Trek. And it was very much a bit of nostalgia, to begin with. But then I realised just how good, Star Trek was. And don't get me wrong, over the years, TNG, DS9, Voyager have produced some absolute clangers of an episode. I mean, the episode of Voyager called Threshold is universally renowned as being the worst episode of Star Trek of all time. And I think even there's contention between like proper Star Trek fans about, is it Threshold or is it A Night in Sickbay from Enterprise? But nevertheless, just got some walking through the cows. But oh, don't talk to me about sales and marketing. When I worked in sales and marketing, it was all cold canvas. It snowed all day, every day, and summer long. And in the winter, it was even worse. Oh. Don't know if we can see there he is. Yeah, I don't know where the ponies are, to be honest, today. They're not up there, so I highly suspect we might be seeing them in the pony tunnel later on. This is typical. So, for me, going back and I think it was Netflix that you can view like all the Star Trek series now. They've got all original Trek, TNG, DS9, Voyager, but I don't think Enterprise for some reason. And again, that could be due to with the mad, crazy world of like property rights and things like that. Yeah, strange. Anyway, we've got some ponies across the water. So, and I realized like how much like my favorite TNG, that not my favorite like Star Trek was DS9. Because if you've seen the documentary of DS9 and like the creating of DS9, of like what we leave behind, they were really pioneering a lot of like what we see in modern TV today. Like DS9 from like its soft relaunch onwards, as you watch it, it's almost like any modern TV program today. It's very, very continuity heavy, very, very referring to like past events in other episodes. And like I say, definitely go watch the documentary. It's very, very good. In fact, the other really good Star Trek documentary is called Chaos on the Bridge. And it's about sort of the first 2 seasons of TNG and the stuff that went on behind in the background. Again, even if you're not a fan of like TNG, or if you're just interested in like, the television process making, it's very good. Morning. So the two names of the documentaries, at least like the Star Trek documentaries I recommend, are the one about DS9, which is called What We Leave Behind, and then the one about the first two seasons of TNG is called Chaos on the Bridge. Now, I know What We Leave Behind is on Netflix. No. What We Leave Behind, the DS9 one, is on Amazon, but you can also watch it on YouTube as well if you rent it and you go through that. And then I think Chaos on the Bridge, don't hold me to it, but I think it's still on Netflix. At least I think it is. Like I say, in your region, it might be different. I feel like that was almost like a setup for me to go into like a VGN ad then. If you would like a VPN, contact Nord today. But no, I don't have that type of. I don't have that type of that pull or sponsorship. So anyway, that was sort of my rediscovery of, like, you know, classic Trek. Sell out, yeah. I wish. NordVPN, can I have a sponsorship, please? But no, I'd probably say no to them if they asked. Like I say, it annoys me, the NordVPN adverts, because they were everywhere at one point. Like, every single YouTuber seemed to be doing them all at once. But yeah, we had probably, I'd say, one of like the biggest impacts on like modern culture, undoubtedly, like, you know, Star Trek. And we get, of course, to the modern era, because there was a lot of talk about you know, it's time to bring Star Trek back, primarily because, of course, of the success, really, of probably the most recent Star Trek films. You know, was it Star Trek, you know, not the Wrath of Khan. But needless to say, like, the first one I think was good, and the third one, which again I think was written by Simon Pegg, was very, very good. And oh yes, apparently they are rebooting Babylon 5. Yes, thanks for bringing up that, dude. Again, one day we might have to have a talk about Babylon 5, because that's quite interesting itself. So when the hype was picking up, and I sort of rediscovered, like, my sort of love for Trek, and really in particular, like, DS9, this is when we get, you know, Star Trek Discovery, and then of course we got Picard. And I will tell you this now. I am not a fan. I am not a fan of either Discovery or Picard. I just don't know what it is about them. I just don't like them. I just can't get behind them. Like, you know, I used to watch, you know, DS9. And I remember when DS9, you know, when I realized DS9 was on Netflix, I was literally just absorbing episode after DS9 again and again and again. And I just couldn't get behind either of the two new Star Trek series. And I've tried, I really have. I really have tried to watch them. I just can't get behind them. And that was when Seth MacFarlane, of all people, creator of Family Guy, American Dad, those types of things, turns around and says he's going to create a spoof show of Star Trek called the Orville. And I'm just going to say this now because this is how I've really come across them now. Because to me, the Orville is more Star Trek than either Discovery or Picard. And I urge you, if you have not watched the Orville, go seek it out and watch it. Because, oh my word, it is so, so good. It is so, so good. And I hope I'm getting across the fact, like I say, that to set up, as I said, the Orville is more Star Trek than either Discovery or Picard, and I stand by that. I stand by that completely because so many of the storylines are just like typical Trek, like what you would have seen on like Voyager, DS9, or even TNG back in the day. And to add on top of that, they inject a bit of humor into it, which again, Star Trek doing quote unquote comedy hasn't really worked. Although I have been told that I do need to watch the animated series they've put out. What is it, Lower Decks? That's it, yes. So I have been told by, again, multiple people that I need to watch Lower Decks, so I do need to go watch that. Yeah, Data made a joke once, and then they've never forgotten it. Also, if you are really into, watching Star Trek reviews or things like that, then I do really recommend a guy called SF Debris, who's done some really, really good Star Trek reviews. In fact, I think he's probably covered the vast majority of like every single Star Trek episode there is out there. So, but yeah, he's the one who made me realize that actually Janeway really is Trek's worst villain. And if you about it, it's true. She really is Star Trek's worst villain. But yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely gonna have to go and watch Lower Decks. But oh my word, you have to go and watch the Orville, because Seth MacFarlane's in it as Captain Mercer. And I'll tell you this now, I've never seen sort of Seth MacFarlane act, if you get that. But in the Orville is like the first time I've seen him like act properly, and to be honest, he does such a good job. And everyone else in the cast, really, really good. They've even got their own Data counterpart, who's like a cybernetic life form called Isaac. And there's one point where there's these, like, he's looking after these two kids, and he pretty much just backhands them and just goes, yeah, I'm more smarter than you are because I'm an artificial life form. And that's like his whole stick. And you'd think that would get boring after a while, but it really doesn't. And especially in season 2, where they develop, like I said, I'll try and stay away from spoilers, but they develop the relationship with him and the doctor. I can't remember what her name is now. But yeah, that's really, really good. And one of the, in fact, one of the people who ended up coming on board of the Orville is of course Jonathan Frakes. Of course, you may remember him from his roles as Commander Riker from TNG, and he has directed quite a lot of the Orville episodes, and indeed you've actually had a lot of old and former Trek writers have come on board and written some of the episodes. In fact, I think one of the writers came back from the early days, because I can't remember who it was now, but he said back in like the original days, there was a plan in TNG for Data to actually have a long-running like relationship with someone, and I think it was meant to be Tasha Yar, but obviously stuff happened and she left the show very, very poorly, by the way. But that's another thing. The Orville, again, in season 2, I won't tell you who leaves, but they gave what I think is probably the best sending off episode of any like television series I've ever seen. Like, they did her good. They really did her good. When normally sometimes you'd have, the character just getting killed, and that would be it. No, they really, 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 really did her good. And I think that, in the Voyager days, we had what became dubbed as the Great Reset button. There were almost never, ever any consequences. Everything would go back to the way it was, and it just got reset. Well, in the Orville, that's not the case, because they do have, again, consequences that happen, past episodes playing to future episodes. There's a lot of continuity nods to characters that you may have met before and in the past. Yeah, Bortus, yeah. And to be honest, Bortus, like, Trek was known, and always has been really known, as quite a progressive show. Yeah, Jaloja, the Great Release. In fact, that's something for those of you who don't know. Bortus's species, they're meant to be all male, but throughout the show, it has a lot of sort of like messaging, especially about like trans rights, and it's doing it in such a good way that, again, Trek would very often be very ham-fisted sometimes about its messaging. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people saying I need to watch The Expanse as well. Again, that is definitely something I do need to watch. Like I say, it's on my list of things to watch, but I keep on putting it off because other stuff comes up or I just forget. So definitely. There really is a it's a really good show. It's so good, and to someone who really loved like 90s Trek, I can't recommend it enough. It's just so good. You know, all the characters are fantastic. They're well written. The episodes are sometimes genius. You know, sometimes they have that quote unquote classic Trek twist, like classic Trek twist, when I can say it, where, you know, it turns out, oh, they were in the holodeck all along. Ooh, and you know, it really is very good. You miss Futurama, me too. But I think Futurama very much ran its course. Yeah, Kermit the Frog, a great leader. And oh, that's something else we have to talk about at one point. You'll have to really indulge me on that one. I'd love to talk about the Muppets at one point. I really would. Two other great series, Firefly and Battlestar Galactica. Yes, I agree with you there, Mitch. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica was so good, especially headed up by Ronald D. Moore. Again, another Star Trek alumni. So very good. Definitely recommend it if you've never seen it before. Like I say, I managed to pick up a couple of years ago a really cheap box set of pretty much everything Battlestar Galactica. It had all the seasons, it had all the movies. Really good. Am I looking forward to Fizban's Treasury of Dragons? Yes, I am. In fact, when it comes out, we might do a look through and just like a review of like what's going on in it, because I think that will be quite cool. Yeah, you are right. It was Fox's fault that they killed it, but it's not just that they killed. They had a massive cull of so many programs, like The Tick. They did a live action series of The Tick before the Amazon one, and that was really good. And that got cancelled. In fact, they made I think I'm almost sure that I think in like one of the start of the seasons, I think it might be like the start of season 3 or season 4 of Family Guy, they make a joke about it, about them getting cancelled and them only having a chance if all these other shows don't succeed. And they literally just start listing off all the shows that Fox cancelled. It's just like, yeah, wow. They really did take out a lot of shows that year. But yes, you are right, Yumika. Futurama is really good. Also, again, on Disney Plus, you can get the entire series. And I have binged watched Futurama before, and like I say, it's just so fun, so great to watch. But it's so funny watching like the the changes and stuff between like the original first 4 original series and then rewatching like the new series when they got onto Comedy Central. So that again, sort of the change in that is quite good, quite funny. But yeah, go and watch the Orville, because if you liked any of the 90s Trek, you know, TNG, DS9, Voyager, you will absolutely love. I mean, absolutely love. You know, the Orville is really, really good. Really, really good. And if you've never watched any of the original, Star Treks, or if you'd like to, like, watch one of the Trek series of one of the original ones, then I would recommend definitely getting into DS9 and maybe even starting not from like the first couple of series, but like the soft relaunch that they had. I think it's called, is it Way of the Warrior, where Worf comes into DS9, and then that's properly like the start of like a lot of like the Dominion Wars and stuff like that. So definitely well worth a watch. Like I say, if you do want to watch like the original, then have at it. Like I say, there are some fantastic episodes in that first lot of series. Duet probably is, I think, one of the best hours of television you could watch. It's a very, very good episode of DS9. Very good early one as well. You started DS9 from season 3, yeah. Your recommendation, dude. Only watch the episodes starring Quark. Well, The Magnificent Ferengi is a very good episode. It is a very, very good episode. So, yeah, thanks for joining me today. I know we probably got like really super geeky, but of course, you know why that is. But yes, like I say, thank you so much again for joining us today. It has been absolutely fantastic once again. Thank you all for coming to join me today. Like I say, I do hope you've all had fun hanging out today. I'm probably going to be in an absolute state this afternoon. The D&D group that I have with like a couple of friends, we finished like that campaign a couple of weeks back. So I will be going out today to celebrate to them. It's probably going to get quite messy. And it's going to be the first time, that I've drunk properly in quite a while. So, yeah. So yeah, it's been quite fun. So, like I say, as always, thank you very much for joining me. And like I say, hopefully we'll see you next Saturday once again for another good morning walk. And of course, as always, if you can't be safe, be sensible. I know I'm probably not going to be too, shall we say, too sensible maybe this afternoon, because I think there's going to be a lot of alcohol involved this afternoon. But anyway, it's going to be fun regardless. Like I say, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you all. We'll see you all next weekend for another good morning walk. Oh, and there we go.